Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Politics Now. We're talking about modern politics in modern America. And today, we're going to be looking at why Trump and Biden are pretty much dead even, and even Trump might have the advantage in 2024 for the presidential election. So, yeah, let's get into that. So, Biden has not been doing too great right now, and he in the polls, compared to the fact that he's going up against Trump, and Trump never did well in the polls. Even when he won in 2016, he was still not doing well in the polls. But now the polls are saying that Biden is only up a point, and recent polling is saying that Trump is actually ahead. And if this is true, then the popular vote for Biden is under threat, which a Republican hasn't won the popular vote ever since 2004. So the popular vote being under threat is a massive deal for Democrats because if they lose the popular vote, it's going to be extremely hard to win the Electoral College vote because Republicans can win without the popular vote. Democrats, they really can't. So they need to win the popular vote since they got that big city base for their voter base. And if Trump wins the popular vote, that either means that there's low turnout or a ton of independents went his way. And given trends, it seems like both is going to happen. A lot of Democrats don't like Biden. A lot of independents don't even like Biden. And a lot of them now like Trump. And they're either not going to go and vote for Biden or they're going to go vote for Trump. And you don't want a lot of your base and a lot of independents who would support you stay home, or even worse, they vote for Trump because in a lot of swing states like Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Georgia, you need those people to turn out because if you don't turn those people out, you are going to lose. And once you lose those states, you've lost the election. You've lost everything. It doesn't even matter if Biden wins the popular vote. If he can't have high enough turnout to even win any of these swing states, which Trump only needs to win three Nevada, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, he's got his 270. He's good. And Biden needs to work extremely hard to actually win the election because he needs to win a lot more swing states in a lot less friendly territory where he can't have a lot of people staying home and a lot of independents turning to Trump. He can't have that. And given polling, it's not looking too good on that front. So you're going to have a lot of Democrats that stay home during the election and don't vote for Biden. And you're going to have a lot of independents who are going to flip towards the Republicans because a lot of them don't approve of Biden. And Biden, he is very unpopular. He is constantly in double digit territories with the margin between his disapproval and approval rate being fairly large. It now is at 11.3, which most days it's around that point. It's usually around 10 or 12. It's within that margin, and his disapproval rate is mostly above 50. His, disappro- his disapproval rate is mostly above 50, and his approval rate is mostly in the 40s. Sometimes it's in the low 30s, but still, you don't want that if you're trying to run the election. And that's been the case for a while now. He has never had a positive approval rating ever since about the invasion of Afghanistan, where we withdrew from Afghanistan, and that was a huge debacle. And he's never recovered from that since. At his all time peak of disapproval, it was a 20-point difference, which, if that happened, if that happens again, even remotely near the election, you are going to lose. You are going to lose the popular vote, and you are going to have a ton of Democrats and independents who would support you. They're going to stay home, or the independents are going to vote for Donald Trump, and that means that you are under threat of losing the popular vote, and you are definitely under threat of losing the electoral college. And if Biden wants to win, he needs to turn those people out and turn that disapproval rating up around because if you have this massive of a disapproval rating going into an election, then you are going to lose or have a really, really, really tough time. And given that it's Biden and he hasn't had a lot of success with his presidency, he's having a really, really tough time is not something that Biden wants to deal with because he has nothing to improve his chances if he's going to have a absolutely brutal time trying to get that second term, which Biden it it's pretty much a lose-lose situation because if you don't enact some major comeback and change a lot of things about your campaign and your presidency, it's very, very likely that you won't get a second term. Trump will. And if he wins, especially if he wins the popular vote, you are just going to become a never another Jimmy Carter, spending the rest of his life with a ton of regrets about how he lost an election and how he managed his presidency until you die a sad man. And that's going to be your legacy is your one term where we're in a recession, you couldn't handle pretty much anything, and our foreign policy is complete crap. So that's going to be your legacy if you don't get a second term. And that's even thinking that when you get your second term, you magically turn it all around and magically everything is okay. That's if you get the second term. If you don't get the second term, Trump takes over and he pretty much destroys anything you enacted and everything that you caused. And your legacy will be like Jimmy Carter. So you do not want to be the new Jimmy Carter. So you're going to need to turn it around. And given the fact that Republicans, there's not a lot of them, lot Trump has a stranglehold over the Republican Party, and he's beating DeSantis by 40 points. He's already got the Republican base in his hands, and he has them on standby for these swing states. And a lot of these states that have a lot of Democrat support, but they just don't have as many numbers as Republicans. So he's got that white working class base. He's got it, and they are willing to vote for him. They're willing to vote for him a lot more considering how it's not 2020 and it's 2024, especially with the arrest, the indictments, a lot of this other crap. They are even more motivated to vote for him. So you got to make that up by turning out your Democratic voters if you're Joe Biden. And Joe Biden isn't doing that. He is clearly not doing that because he's losing in a lot of these polls. If you look at the polls throughout all of the campaign, they they most of the time if this was a Trump run, 2020, 2016, they were all either Hillary or Biden and they were up in high single digits. They were all up there. Now it's sort of flip-flop and most of the time it's a tie or it's Biden plus 1 or Biden plus 2 or Trump plus 1 or Trump plus 2. You don't want it to be a tight race for the popular vote because that means that Trump has a better shot at winning than he did in 2016 and 2020, which, given the fact that 2016 and 2020 were both extremely close, not in the popular vote. Yeah, he didn't win the popular vote any of those times, but he still won the presidency one of those times. And almost won it again in a lot of these swing states, but Biden narrowly edged him out and he didn't get his second term. Now he's coming back and he is clearly putting everything into this. And looking at the polls, it is clearly working because if Trump is able to motivate his voters to go out and Biden is not able to, you are going to see Michigan go red, Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania. They're all going to go red. And even some not red states where they're going to be still voting blue, but it's going to be by far smaller majorities. I'm talking New Hampshire, Maine at large, uh, Minnesota, even New Mexico, maybe. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much it. So you're going to have a lot of these blue states, they're going to be way tougher fights to win. And all of these swing states are going to go Republican because you can't turn out your own voters because a lot of your own voters don't like you. And a lot of Republican voters, they they admire Trump. They basically view him as a god. They view him as the second coming of Christ. And you need to have that for your own side, because if Republican voters are motivated this much to vote for their main guy, then you're going to need to match that or improve upon that in order to stand a chance against him, because Trump has a stranglehold over the Republican Party and the Republican base. And he has a unique pull on a lot of people who normally wouldn't vote for the Republicans, but since it's Trump, they vote Republican. These are the people who voted for Obama in 2008 and 2012. These are sort of like the more middle class, white working class base that didn't like the neocons, so they just voted for Obama because they're not neocons or total pushovers. He has that base in spades, and he has the general Republicans. He has that base too, and he can utilize that base in a lot of these states, which is why he won a lot of these states in 2016. That's when he was able to utilize it to its fullest. And even in 2020, which he did not have as high as turnout, he still motivated a bunch of those people to go out and vote, and made winning Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, even Arizona, he made those very, very tough fights. And they were within 1 point, and Biden barely won, even though he was up in most of the polls. And by the time of the election, he was up 7 points against Trump, which now he doesn't have that. He's more so flip flopping with Trump. And if he has that, he is going to have a very tough time at winning, and he could possibly lose the popular vote, which would be a complete embarrassment for Biden. So, yeah, if you think Trump can win, leave that in the comments below. If you think Biden could win, leave that in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.